Do you want to do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. All right, I'll do my own bit for myself. Oh wait, no silence. We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
I'm Dave Mann.
And I like how that whole bit is it always goes off without a hitch. Meanwhile, I have been streaming to the wrong channel for this entire countdown, so hooray. Which brings me to the question that I have to kick things off. Dave, what is the difference between a streamer and a park bench?
It's probably something that's NSFW, so I'll defer back to you for the punchline.
A park bench can support a family.
Hey.
Well, everybody, how's everybody doing today?
Welcome.
Well, I was
Slayer
fine
and
until
Dragon.
you stabbed me in the heart with that one. Jeez. Yeah, hello to Amp Slayer and Demon Dragon hanging out in chat. Thank you for showing up when I literally started running the, went live on the correct channel about 15 seconds to broadcast. Oh, man. So I'm doing well. Dave, because of, you actually didn't get the chance to sit down in front of your screen until about 5 minutes to broadcast, so I haven't even had the chance to ask, how have you been, good sir?
Fantastic. I've been keeping really busy between the St. Jude streaming, getting prepped, because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be the first one to say this on a stream. Insane Games will be back, just as James Bond, just as Iron Man, and just as...
Just as the video crashes. Hooray! We'll get Dave back in a second. Something happened there. Dave, I lost you. Dave, I lost you. Reconnecting. Well, while we work on that, and I know that that's not on my end because I'm still seeing that there. Hey, Insane. Oh, hold on, we got you. You there?
Of course.
Okay, cool. I lost you as you were saying Insane Games is going to be back, like James Bond, and then blank face and a little reconnecting circle.
Good.
We're gonna be good.
If it'll take less off of your computer, Boater, you don't have to resend the video to me personally through Skype because I can watch it through the stream.
Okay.
But really excited. I brushed elbows with Dan in public, which meant that I screamed, I yelled, he ran away.
I was gonna say brushing elbows, Dave. That sounds closer than 6 feet.
Well, when you're running around with a stick going, Dan.
Oh, so you had a broom at the end of a 6-foot pole and brushed elbows. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's fine now. News so big it broke the call.
Exactly. Insane Games will be back, and it's going to be better than ever. Super excited.
That's awesome. I'm really happy we got to break that news.
And then just with doing daycare for the essential workers and things like that, it's been growing as people have been more classified as essential and businesses are starting to open up. Our daycares are starting to fill in, and it's a lot to fight with adults to get to keep masks on. Now just imagine that you don't necessarily process what's happening around you and can make cogent decisions to be a dick and infect everybody else around you, but in
Yeah.
fact just really don't have an understanding of it. So I'm constantly playing mask police.
Yeah.
Uh,
More like Rigor Mortis asking, is there a date for when Insane Games returns? And Fatboy with a chain popping in. Ayo.
as we're in the second wave, there isn't an official decision for us because it's not in our hands.
Yep, it's
Um,
as I understand it in New York, it is phase one goes, and in 2 weeks we assess, and then phase two starts going, and possibly during phase two, all the 2 week incubation periods from phase one start setting in, and we say, oopsie. But we'll see. Soon trademark is in fact the correct answer, hopefully, for when
because
Insane Games comes
on
back.
our end, it's not like we're not doing the EA soon where it's like, what are you doing over there? Soon it'll be ready. It'll be like we're
Yeah,
in
to use
starting track position and we're ready to go.
I was about
Uh,
to say for the Saratoga terminology, we are in the gate and ready to go.
ugh.
So aside from Insane Games, you mentioned St. Jude. Dave, you had a really good week with St. Jude. Tell us about it.
One of my community approached me every year at the end of St. Jude's. I start making plans for next May with the Garnted Cult, with the community, with everybody to build on it. And one of my friends, Brandon, I don't know that he wants me to say his full name on stream, but he did put it in the donations. Um, he approached me and he said, "By the way, I want to sponsor a stream where I match donations." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." And then he goes, "Yeah, I want to match up to $400." And I was like, "That's well
Incredible.
more, well more than I feel my product can garner." So it helped me to try to raise my game and offer
Yeah.
rewards that would
Yeah.
be befitting of this. And so League at Reaper in my community, much love to you and thank you, man, for making this because we are now at, as of press time, $1,390, and we still have 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 12 days I think at this point, almost 2 weeks. You blew past your initial goal. You are past all your initial round of milestones and you went what, like scrambling to make up more milestones to
Nah, just when I realized that if people were going to match up to the 400, and then in the first week when we were kissing 500,
Yeah.
I sat down and I thought, what can I feasibly offer, and what can I get in these current conditions, and
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah, kissing 500 is a good way to put it. That's about where I am right now. So with my
Hell
sister's
yeah.
$44 one that like didn't quite attribute correctly to my progress bar, we're at about 475. My progress bar at the moment sits at 43210, $432.10. Because my
Nice.
community is all about the smaller donations that will make for fun numbers. We sat at $420.69 for a few days. Because classy.
Oh,
Um,
of course.
yeah, we're doing really well here on my end, hoping to hit that 500 to be able to do a Choose Your Own Adventure YouTube series with you. If we hit my 600 goal for the year, then we'll be doing a bunch of like behind the scenes things we can get out there. So just trying to get both of those. If people are interested in contributing to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, you can do so at either of the Twitch channels that you see below our names. We have interactive panels down below that will bring you to that will bring you to the donation links for St. Jude. So by all means, go ahead and check those out. Um, I actually started doing something a little different with my streaming this week, where I just start at 10 a.m. and go to noon, and just calling it like brunch with Boater. And I'm just trying to
Hell
do that
yeah.
every day this week, just for a couple hours, and we'll see how that goes. So. Okay, so that covers St. Jude, and that gets us excited that Insane Games will be back as soon as we're able, and we're looking. Hopefully, it's a matter of weeks. Um, what else? What else have we got, Dave? Before we dig into gaming news and kind of our big topic.
I'm gonna kind of spoil a little thing for the weekend Wednesday. There was an incentive back when where if we reached $700, there's an hour stream where I'm only allowed to make say the word allegedly. I'll do it in different inflections, things like that. It is an in-community joke, but I'm about to
Okay.
bake you in on that joke because it's pretty good. And Amp Slayer is a part of this, and he is in chat now, so he can
So I
throw a little
see.
commentary in. So in Call of Duty Warzone, as I dragged Boater in to stream it now, or probably a couple weeks ago, it was a lot of fun. There's a helicopter. You can fly around it. You can bail out of it, and you have parachutes, and you have an infinite amount of those, so you can always bail out and land.
Yep.
So Amp Slayer was flying it. I was on one of the pontoons, and my friend John was on the other. And Amp just kind of gives me a subtle nod that we're gonna do something goofy. And so we both bail, say absolutely nothing. John is plummeting towards the ground. Helicopter blows up. John's fine. Hilarious for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Less than an hour later, it's now Amp Slayer, myself, John, and enticingly dead, my coworker Morgan. We go to start playing. What's up, Auntie? I'm regaling about why allegedly is a good meme. And allegedly these events occurred, by the way, to defend Amp Slayer against the wrath of Morgan. We were once again in a helicopter, and we all kind of gave each other the sign. And so allegedly, we would all have bailed out, and Morgan plummeted towards the ground. And instead of the helicopter blowing up and Morgan being fine, the helicopter turned to a fiery explosion and killed Morgan. Still not sure how John survived the first time. Morgan is furious. And so from then on, Morgan has now accused Amp Slayer of murdering her, and Amp Slayer has diplomatically said allegedly
Okay.
murdered.
I don't know that that's the best defense.
Since then,
That is involuntary. Alleged involuntary manslaughter at worst.
Amp Slayer has alleged, by the way, that there was a rocket locking in, and we did allegedly say to bail at the time. But you know what? Unfortunately, the video didn't survive, so we have no.
That's a shame. That's a shame when that happens.
But we've then been throwing allegedly out when certain things will happen. Like if any of us finds a thermal silenced AR, we will allegedly be telling everyone that we have found those, just so that everyone can be aware and potentially complete their kits. So this Wednesday, Morgan has not tuned into this program, and if she has, she's going to be spoiled to it. But tune in to DAM 314 starting between 5:30 and 6 because we're going to be playing Warzone. I have set Morgan up where she is not aware that that's all I'm going to say. Amp Slayer's going to be in the party. John is going to be there. And so for 60 entire minutes, and I'm going to try to set up a timer, but I probably won't. I'll just be honest about it. Allegedly is the only word that's going to leave my mouth, although I will inflect it. There will be pauses, things like that. Looking forward for St. Jude's.
What a very theater kid thing for you to do.
Speaking of theater kid for me to do, there is still the couple of incentives that have not yet been met. One of which is that if we reach 1,700, there's going to be an entire stream, whatever the next stream is after that one, weekend, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday services, where all I'm going to be able to say for the entirety of the stream is omelette du fromage. And that is definitely going to be the Dexter's Laboratory reference that I keep for future. More like rigor mortis, it reminds me of Pugmire Royal Killers, and more accurately, the not royal falsely accused killers. I didn't think about the connection there, but how good that the communities at Boaterbug and the communities at DM314 have very similar experience.
Pugmire was an RPG that we ran, and so we had done it live on stream for a couple of weeks, but it's like any our role-playing game that's been running it ran for over a year and a half. There's gonna be inside jokes, particularly just calling it Punmire for the excess of such.
Yes, Demon Dragon, unfortunately, there was no black box for the crash of the helicopter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited for Wednesday. Sunday services. I have secured another Gundam model, and I adjusted, and I figured out that I do in fact own a second cam, and so I can do the model setups here
Nice.
in the man cave. Um, Last week we had a new friendo join the community. It was awesome. And he's a large Gundam builder, so he was able to give me pointers. And Boder, you can definitely relate this, and I know folks in chat can. Someone that's very involved with a community that you're casually interested in or
Yeah.
casually into, and there's two kinds of people like that.
Hmm.
There's the edge lords and the people that gatekeep
Yeah.
and try to keep us filthy casuals out of it, and then people like um, the people that I ran into who were phenomenal,
Yeah.
helpful with the terminology.
They
Um,
want to see the community grow. I had that happen most memorably when I was playing The Witness last year. And someone came in that was encouraging. They weren't like telling me how to do a thing. They were giving me maybe little pointers along the way if I asked for it, but otherwise they absolutely loved watching me play this game that they had put so much time into themselves.
I'm sorry, you mispronounced the wetness, Boder. I'll just that's the only time I'll correct you. But
Okay, okay.
that was by far one of my favorite things that we were doing last year in store. Was every time you would be playing that, it was, oh God, Boder's on, put him on the TV, and me, Mike, and or Dan would go, is he playing the wetness? And like,
This whole like tertiary thing of my community that I'm not exactly aware of.
it
I
was
love it.
it's good times.
Yeah.
Insane Games in the Wilton Mall. You never know what we're going to be doing, but by God, you're going to be included even if you want to or not.
And I like that, like, obviously with St. Jude I'm streaming a lot, but I like that you guys would, if I'm streaming nothing to do with Insane Games, even if if Insane Games TV isn't live, you guys will have a bunch of different streams on, so like, maybe if I was playing Truck Simulator, I would be up on a screen there. Again, not so much now in the evening when, well, not now, but when Insane Games TV is a thing, it's okay. That's kind of the focus. But like during the day, if I'm doing something, if you've got something on during the day, yeah, it's really cool in there.
That's a hint for all you folks watching out there to interact with Insane Games TV, because we like to support other communities as well,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be you. Um,
Yep.
I
and
know.
and give
So
love to other shows too. Like by all means, I know that I don't know the stats. It's been a while since Dan gave them to me. I know that Nerd Glasses podcast is one of the higher viewed shows on the network. And so like by all means, spread some of the Nerd Glasses love, watching some of the other programs that we've got here. So
yeah, I'm really excited. We also added, by the way, Boder, this is more breaking news because I don't know that anyone has officially said it, but it's exciting. We have finally secured the services of Flip Juiced, a Twitch streamer that is in our community. He's a family friend of the Insane Games TV cast. He was on an original Nerd Glasses episode, Andy, if you remember, Boder.
yep.
Um, so we have
Behind
managed
the
to.
counter you're referring to. He was on an
What did
original
I
Behind
say?
the Counter episode. You said Nerd Glasses.
Behind the counter and Nerd Glasses are basically the four of us just broken into two shows.
Yeah, at
Um,
this point.
and as it warmed my heart to see Dan, by the way, because um, as much
I mean,
as
all we get to
both,
see of Dan is that like he's sitting at his computer and doing the hosting end of 2v Tuesdays.
well, and then doing Insane Games Live
Oh
and
yeah,
doing a
oh
lot of
yeah.
other cool things, and I'm super excited that Dan has stayed in front of the camera because
Yep.
I
Oh
know that
yeah.
there was a while where he was considering being the chief as he is, and
Yeah.
being behind the camera, but you're missing out on a lot if you don't see Dan.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That is an
by the
entertaining fellow.
by the way, ladies and gentlemen, two things. I just realized something. But firstly, to plug Saturday nights and Sunday nights, Insane Games TV is no longer silent. They're as grown. a program, Shoot and Loot. It covers the late night end of the programming, a la My Weekend Wednesday on Wednesdays, but this is on the weekends, the tougher times to get viewers, and Flip Juiced is crushing it. I
Nice.
know some folks haven't been aware of it, but I heavily recommend you check him out. He's fucking phenomenal. He's a lot of fun. He's been playing World of Warcraft recently, which is so cool because it gets the other end of just the other end of the fandoms and
Mhm.
adding that to the repertoire for Insane Games TV. I also just realized, looking in chat here, there's a new emote for Insane Games TV to subscribe to. At the $9.99 level, you too can have Dave Face in your chat.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I see that.
and I am uber excited. I'm gonna try to weasel my way out of paying $10 to get my face, but here's a quick plug for it. By the way, subscribe here at Insane Games TV to support the content, the growing, the communities, but also to be able to give people mic face, because you too can look at your bosses, you can look at your yelling customers and things like that, and just give them the
Yeah.
hmm. One of my favorite things, more like rigor mortis.
Your
Your
fave
face
is
is
worth
worth a
10 bucks, Dave. Your face is worth 10 bucks, Dace.
Thank you. Because I love that idea. Also, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I did reach out to Tom, the design wizard, and we will be getting more designs for the Insane Games TV shirts. Stream
Mhm.
Elements is so excited about it. It's just jamming up chat with ads for it.
Yeah.
Um,
We didn't get
but
the chance to talk about it last week, but we are starting to have some merch available on the link that you see there. There's Citadel, there's Insane Games Live. I let's see the
Shoot and Loot. And the thing I
No
like about
Look
these is
podcast has a couple designs. So
it's classic references to the programming in itself. It's not just a logo. But by the way, if you want to look like you're in the know, you can get an Insane Games TV hoodie. Just letting you know, it's a pullover, not a zip up.
well,
Um,
nobody's perfect.
but for example, hey, I love the pullover one. But then again, it works in my
It's weird. I
classroom setting.
used to like pullover more, and now I like the convenience of a zip hoodie where I'm like can temperature regulate more, right? Yeah.
So I really like. I want to
A lot
plug
of
first of all the
sorry.
fact that Shoot and Loot got 2 shirts and they are fucking phenomenal. The No Look podcast has the quintessential No Look throws. 2v Tuesdays has the chain is only as strong as its weakest link. A modicum you will hear thrown out pretty often in these games. My favorite reference and one that I have co-opted from the Dream Team, but showers maketh man.
Yeah.
One that we should indefinitely bring to conventions and just throw at those stanky people.
Yeah. Like forgive my really janky overlay use here, but yeah, I'm a fan of a lot of the designs that we've got on here for yeah, shoot and loot right there, death before dishonor. Yeah, there's showers maketh man. So a lot of really
OC5
cool
Live
designs.
inventory shirt. So there's a Weekend Wednesday shirt that I am so I want to phrase this correctly because I like I'm so happy that after all these years of doing the Weekend Wednesday, Dan and Tom are entirely in sync with everything I'm doing with it.
Yeah,
Um, that shirt it's wow.
it's yeah.
I
I'll
had no
I'll.
part in designing that, and I fucking love it. Um, but I will be pitching designs for the Weekend Wednesday references, things like that. If Vladdy93 is in chat in the future, I am going to hassle him to remind everyone the Sunday of services. We've started to put steps out for how to build Gundam models.
Okay.
Step 1, drop the smallest piece. Step 2, overthink. Step 3, repeat step 1 and 2. I think that one has the
Dirty
amount of
Gochu
times I
10.
have Frank Reynolds myself where you can hear on the stream just the whoops, like um,
Good job.
so super excited for the growth of Insane Games TV. Um, I don't want to mumble out too much more because I know that there's other things for folks to get onto, but
Yep.
um, Insane Games TV, folks. One of few things, by the way, that when society needed to take a knee for the greater good,
The greater
um,
good. We just watched Hot Fuzz the other night, and it was.
yes, I love you, Boder and Steph. Like, um, and step 4, use chainsaw to cut things out. I'm told I'm not allowed to play with power tools in the Insane Games TV studio in its current form. Um, however,
when the required
su-
safety equipment is no longer latex gloves and face mask, but is full face shield and heavy workman's gloves, then you can use power tools. I
oh,
don't want to promise that either.
I will absolutely, because there are Gundam models that I could absolutely set the sprues out and just. um, I played with power tools for years. Um,
I like he
people
doesn't say he's used power tools for quite some time. He says I played with, and that just tells you the mentality we're digging at right here.
to give you an example, when a high budget performance is going on, people have paid up to like $200-$300 for seats for these shows, and you look and you suddenly realize that something in the back is absolutely not working as it should. Mayhaps young Dave threw some rope out and Mission Impossibled his way across some catwalks and lighting to fix something before it was needed for a show. But needless to say, the audience was not in on that whole reference and work.
That is
Um,
that is simultaneously so satisfying and so disappointing when you do something so well, and nobody knows, which was the point, but then nobody knows. That is
I
that
take
is that is why I can do well on bluff checks, but then I spoil it by saying, "Everyone see that?"
I take really a good amount of personal pride in my stagecraft on and off stage, where the amount of things that, and if you've attended any of my live stand-up shows, I'm happy yet sad the amount of things that I have done in the show that have sailed over the audience's heads. It's okay, but the good news is that the people that are in the know were there and they got it, and ah.
I always like when I get to be one of like 5 people in a crowd that go like, "Ha!" And then everyone
I
else just doesn't even realize it was like it didn't fall flat for them. They just didn't even realize it was supposed to be a gag.
Allegedly I do have all my limbs. I've got all 10 and all 10 toes.
Allegedly.
Because I mean, otherwise, how am I going to do long math if I don't have all these to? Yeah. Um, so, Boder,
Dave.
after all these conversations and all these plugs, and asking about how we've been doing, I would like to welcome you to another cult and another never-ending group, and something that cyclically will never part,
Yeah.
and that is Animal Crossing.
Yep. So, uh, I was watching a friend stream Animal Crossing last week, and if those are too big, I can like bump them down or something. But I think that's fine. Let's scoot this way. I was watching a friend play last week. Oh my, hold on. Oh, oh, I have very little in the way of like wardrobe and such in this game. I literally just started playing, but I'll wait for Dave to be back on headphones so I can actually speak to him as well. Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, you were saying something about Animal Crossing?
um, I was watching a friend play last week. Bump a little bit to your left. I've never seen the top of Dave's head before. Yeah, there you go. I was watching a friend play on stream, and it's just like, I had seen videos. There was the ones that we showed last week and the past couple of weeks that we've been showing videos from it, and it's been one of those things that's really cool, but I don't think I'll get into it. And then it was that's really cool. Let me wait until the end of St. Jude Play Live, and I'm watching my friend play on stream, and I'm like, that's really cool. I'll wait until June at the end of St. Jude, and then he went into his museum. And I'm sorry, I love the museum in Animal Crossing New Horizons. Uh, and that is literally what pushed me over the edge into selling it for me. So Thursday, I bought Animal Crossing, and just have been spending not every waking moment because I have a YouTube channel to take care of, and I've been streaming as well. I've done a decent job with that balance. Um, but it's yeah, like tomorrow my resident services tent is going to be upgrading to the community center or whatever. Today my museum is undergoing renovations for the art gallery. And I so this is my first Animal Crossing and I am really really enjoying it. Dave, you have a long history with the franchise?
Yes,
Anti-Class Prime playing Animal
played
Crossing right now.
I have played all of the Animal Crossing games, including City Folk on the Wii, which that is the only reference I'm going to make to City Folk on the Wii. Um, and have enjoyed this franchise immensely. It also helps that Claire is someone that this game franchise lends to,
Uh-huh.
and things like that. I am going to drop a link to my server, by the way, for Discord because we've been sharing our friend codes in there.
Oh,
And
okay.
if you have not yet to grow your community and things like that, definitely to get those Switch friends on and moving. Um, but yeah, the one that I had the most experience with was New Leaf because it was the first Nintendo console that was mine that wasn't just a villager on my friend's GameCube. When I would visit, he would have me go open the letters he had done and
Yeah.
dig around and do my half of the yard work, which is what we negotiated.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, it's been so much fun, and I really enjoy the fact that that game, like many others, is exactly what you make of it, and it's fun because for me personally, it's a sandbox.
Yeah.
I get really stressed out in sandboxes because I need a little bit of structure. I do just a
Yeah, you
little
need a
bit,
little bit of direction.
not a
Because either you're
lot,
going
but
to
a
get
little bit.
stressed out of, like, what should I do? Or you're not going to go in the sandbox because there's nothing there for you to be told to do. And so, like, my
Exactly.
first 5 days or so with it, I had the structure of, well, what does Tom Nook want me to do? Yes, I need to pay this off. I need to get him build the furnishings for the first three houses. I need to get the materials to help Timmy and Tommy build Nook's Cranny. Um, and so like that's that as far as structure. But now he's like, well, you've done a great job. Just enjoy the island life. Um, Andy Klaus Prime saying that's what makes them kind of tricky to stream. But I personally find that things like that are more freeform are better for streaming. Like I would never want to do Animal Crossing as a Let's Play. Recently, I've been enjoying watching Jacksepticeye do his, Let's Plays and other stuff on YouTube. But like he started doing Animal Crossing, and it just stressed me out because it's like he's doing things differently. That's not what my island looks like, and he doesn't quite know what he's doing. Neither did I, but he doesn't quite, and he's being a source of bedlam, given the lack of direction. I mean, that's also just Jacksepticeye as a YouTuber is bedlam. Um, not as much as some, but still. Um, Tom Nook is a mob boss. Allegedly,
Uh,
sir.
the mob doesn't exist, sir. The mob
That's
doesn't exist.
allegedly. Anyway. But yeah, like so these are our respective avatars on here. Dave, you've got, your pinball machines and everything because you've been playing since the game came out. I've been playing
The
for
day it released,
I've been playing for a
myself, John, and
week.
Claire bought it.
I Got my, I'm sitting there with a bonfire and a vaulting pole and something that one of my villagers gave me for my tea and parka combo.
Who were your first two villagers?
Mott and Phoebe.
Okay.
A kind of exercise enthused lion, and I don't know what she is. She's like some sort of bird thing. Um,
Bird thing.
I don't know. Like I don't. She's a bird. I don't know if she's like supposed to be a peacock or something. I don't know, but she's nice. She's given me a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I don't need this, but okay, I'll give this to Steph. I like the system that the two of you, like if you have multiple accounts on one Switch, you are sharing the same island. And like that first week, it feels weird because in the first week, the island representative has tasks to do, like to get the home ready and stuff like that, to bring the first five specimens to Tom Nook to get Blathers there, things like that. But then after that, when it's more freeform, it really doesn't matter. You have this island together. So like Steph and I worked out stuff like, oh, there's four fossils a day will spawn on the island. So I'll take two, you take the other two. Um, there's 5 or 6 rocks. I won't take all of them so that you have a source of iron nuggets as well, kind of thing. So it's a shared space. But we've looked and said, oh hey, we're going to need to uh, like I wanted to put my tent on an isolated island that is fully encircled by a river. You can't do that right at the start of the game because you have no way to get across the river. But it's like, all right, I'll move it there eventually. I know that I'll have that capability because I looked it up because I've been spending a lot of time looking at guides for this game. Particularly, Polygon has a really well put together guide of just like everything in the game. Um, but when Steph joined a few days later, it was like, well, I have a ladder, I have a vaulting pole, and let's just set your house up right next to that clifftop pond. So, like, working cooperatively to get her there, and we each have our own kind of domains. So, it's a really fun kind of cooperative thing.
I I've really enjoyed this game. I was very disappointed that I have not been able to find my BFF from New Leaf. My first villager in that game was Teddy.
Okay.
He's a big old brown bear. Surprise, surprise. Um, and what's up, Flip Juice, the man himself, the newest addition to the Insane Games TV lineup. How are you doing, brother? So yeah, I really loved that I was able to make new friends with new villagers. I took it as a sign that I'm going to have a lot of fun with this current game because my two starting villagers were Tank and Tasha.
Okay.
So I had that whole alliteration TT thing going on.
Yeah.
I was having a lot of fun with it. It's a rhinoceros. He's very sporty, shocking. And then Tasha is a.
I think I've gotten the impression just from like what I've seen with some posts is that you're always going to start out with a sporty and a sisterly personality types. Like that holds true in mine. That's what I've seen some people talk about in theirs. Flip Juice with the is it possible to get a new Switch? And the answer is yeah. Some places might be back ordered, but you can still place orders for them. Go to Nook Shopping and pay 3,500 bell weight.
If you are looking for an IRL Nintendo Switch, Japan didn't. Nobody planned for this all falling apart. It's part of the reason Final Fantasy VII was ghastly to
Yeah.
find. But the Switch consoles, not the Switch Mini. Switch Minis will be everywhere, and you can find them.
Yeah, the
But
main Switch consoles are harder to find.
They're going to be coming more and more in stock, and especially as things reopen. But yes, Amp Slayer helping out Flip Juiced.
What somewhat helps this, and I kind of feel bad about it, was that Japan was slow to shut down because of their work culture.
Yep.
And they will be quick to reopen. And I
Yes.
worry about what that does for public health over there. But on the flip side, the upshot is Switches won't be as scarce as they otherwise could be.
And then the other thing is that country's not just going to throw on the factories to do things because it's not like they're in some sort of economic crisis like everybody else. Sorry. Um.
Anti-Claus saying there's
Ooh.
no point to the Switch Lite. Dave, I find I've spent about half of my time with the Switch, both in Animal Crossing and other games, with it handheld. And part of that, I mean, most of the time that's because Steph is playing Hollow Knight or something on the PlayStation and they're nominally hooked up to the same TV. So I just grab it and I'm sitting on it handheld while she's playing her game. What is the usage in your household? Handheld
Um.
versus docked?
There was not a chance in hell that one Switch was going to satiate both myself and Claire, especially with Animal Crossing coming out. So I had the Nintendo Switch from the holiday season. My ma got it for me because she's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I do a lot of this here, but when I'm playing on stream, obviously it's in the dock.
Yep.
And I do stream a lot of the games like Doom 64 and uh, and Into the Abyss. And I will say that I bought Claire Switch Lite or Switch Mini because she is not going to use it on a television. She's somebody that does multitasks and multimedia, so there'll be a movie on this. She'll have Animal Crossing on hers, things like that. So it made sense for her. But yeah, a majority of time, this is wandering around with me. Um, but I will say, Boater, have you run into any issues with your Joy Cons yet?
Um, we did right when we got it, because when we got it, instead of the red and blue Joy-Cons, we got it with the two gray ones.
Yeah.
And the first time that we had someone over and they paired their Joy-Cons so we could have four people playing Heave-Ho or something like that, it was fine, but then one of the two gray Joy-Cons of ours would repeatedly start to drop. We eventually just unpaired them and repaired them, and it was fine. But since then, we've also, like, the main Joy-Cons that we have now are the purple-orange set, which I love the look of. And we've had no problems with those.
I have started to run into the issue now owning this Switch and battering it around for a while where I'm having drift. This is a common issue with the Switch, and there is fixes for it, but it's where, for those of you who don't know, when it's in neutral, this is
Mm-hmm.
0 and it's not moving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Switch Joy Cons, because they are made of composite plastics and all these things,
Oh, do they
um,
N64?
yes, they do, and in some cases quite badly. Mine is not bad. It just means that when I'm playing Animal Crossing, my villager, if I'm not attentive, he'll keep subtly walking forward. It's why anytime I go into the museum, I immediately wind up in the fossil section, which is fine, because I'm almost finished there. So I always get to marvel at the stuff.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
even close. Again, because I just started playing last week. My museum's still pretty empty, but I'm really loving the experience of filling it out.
they do not repair for free anymore. I am assured that if I showed them that this was still under warranty and things like that, they would fix it. But if I can track down the Switch repair kit, we have 4 Joy-Cons,
Hmm.
so I might try to make that a stream and
Okay.
put my skills to the test. But for
So
right now,
that's
it's
something
usable.
that's something that is user fixable with a kit.
Yes.
Yes, if you're comfortable taking apart electronics, then yes,
Yes.
but
Oh yeah.
not like, whomever. My issue with the control, um, and it's not so much a mechanical thing, it's muscle memory.
Oh
So
my God. Yes.
so Xbox and PlayStation, I'm going to use Xbox because this is what I grew up with. Xbox is A at the bottom, then B, then X, then Y. This is what A is what you do to confirm everything, B is what you do to go back out of everything. The Switch does the exact same thing with A, B, X, and Y. The problem is that A is over here and B is down here, and then so X is here and then Y there. So yeah, you hold up one, I'll hold up the other. And it's do I have a better controller? Whatever. Um, Sure. It's just one of these things that is very, very frustrating. It took me a while in Animal Crossing to get used to which button do I use to confirm things, because I would always end up backing out of them by hitting the bottom button, which is actually B for Nintendo. And then, of course, I played that game for 3 or 4 days straight. And then yesterday, I went to a Kingdom for Keflings on my Brunch with Boater stream in the morning, which has a lot of similarities to Animal Crossing, at least as far as the rough aesthetic and the idea of building up a town and all that. And I'm on the Xbox and I'm hitting the wrong buttons. I would try to pick something up and I'd like punch it. I try to back out of something and I confirm. I'm like, no, this isn't what I want. And it's not necessarily that, oh, well, Nintendo got there first so they can do what they want. Like, they may have had A and B, like A on the outside and then B on the inside for the NES, and I guess that's why they did that. But when
Yeah.
it comes to having the diamond 4-button layout for your right thumb buttons, Xbox and PlayStation were doing it first. Um, the GameCube had a big center button.
Were they? Because the Super Nintendo controller has that diamond pattern on it.
Does it?
Of
Oh,
course,
you're right.
it's.
You're right. You're right. Well,
Let me grab it because I have one right in front of me. Yeah.
yes, they do. Okay, you're right.
And then soon thereafter, that came out. It seems like as we.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so that still has that same ABXY configuration. Okay.
However, it makes sense to if you're, for example, Sony, and you just had a falling out with Nintendo and you're making your own console, that you would use the diamond pattern because it's effective, but you would not use
You would not use
ABXY.
Yeah, you would not use those letters. Um, Dan asked, "What's going on with Dave's nose?" And he is simply illustrating his Animal Crossing character there.
Because
or actually, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean Dave's nose? That's just how his face is, Dan. What the hell? Come on.
I do, by the way, there's many people that have not realized this. I have worn this clown nose on Insane Games TV broadcasts, not for very long. But check out the archives, see if you guys can
Yep.
find out. It's not on the nerd glasses.
So
I do also bring this with me to meetings because those are boring and I'm not a boring person.
Yep. I do like the hat a lot.
This is from Ireland, by the way.
Ooh.
My ma got it for me.
Really quick with the control buttons, because a couple more points there. Xbox has always had their ABXY in the same layout, and they've always been used for pretty much the same thing. Green A is your yes, red B is your no. And then X and Y used for other stuff past that. For PlayStation has an interesting storied history with it because, and I think that it's a difference between the Eastern gaming market and the Western gaming market, because I think US developers looked at the PlayStation controller with a blue X and a red 0 and said, oh, well, we're going to go with blue being yes. And so the bottom one of the diamond was their confirm. This is what I am selecting. And then the red circle being no, that's what I'm not selecting. Meanwhile, Japanese developers looked at it, and number one, Force of Habit continuing over from AB as used by Nintendo, but also just culturally, a red circle is a perfectly fine thing, and then an X not so much. So PS2 era, like if you play JRPGs in the PS2 era, muscle memory gets screwed up. When I was playing Suikoden, I think that X was still to select things, but to go back, instead of pressing the red circle, you would press the green triangle at the top. Like to exit out of menus would be triangle. And PlayStation, I don't think all of its developers got under the same unified control scheme umbrella until the PS3. So it is interesting to note where, like, with so many different controllers that are so very similar, again, these two with, oh, there we go, trying to get them both on frame. The Xbox and the Switch controller, the Switch Pro controller, these are very, very similar layouts. Very similar layouts. But yeah, the way that they use their buttons is slightly different. And PlayStation is a similar layout as well. It just swaps its D-pad and analog stick on the left side. They feel so similar, so it is so easy to get your muscle memory confused with different things. To some extent, different games, but especially with looking at how Nintendo has stuck by its guns for its layout, with just the general conceptual stuff. Final Fantasy used to be guilty of that, says Flipjuice. X to cancel, O to confirm, and I totally agree. Um, and it's like I said, yeah, like the JRPGs that I think like Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think is more in line with current practices, and that might be in localization. That might be something where in Japan, circle is select and X is cancel. And that might be something that at the deep level in localization that they switched around. Um, I actually lost an NPC to a wrong button pressed. Oh no! Menus in Dark Souls on Switch. Yikes.
I I'm you know what? A question for the community as well.
Yeah,
Um,
we didn't have a community
when you
question ready for this week, so here's our
oh
question.
I did.
Oh, okay.
It's posted on Discord, but that's not the one I want to talk about because it was. But what's this button to you folks? Let me hold it up on a different controller. What do you call this one that's right above my pointer finger? What is it? What is that fun? What is the purpose of that button?
It is
What do you call it?
interesting that none of the current generation calls it what they almost all called it in the previous generation. That placement would be start. Going back quite some time, going back to the NES or even before it, you had start and select. Xbox, for its first two generations, had start and back because that's what it was used more for at that point. Like select wasn't a button that was used. PS3, same thing. There was still start and select. Now, hands off. Sorry, gloves are off. It can be anything. On Xbox, I don't even know what they actually call them. I think menu and options.
On the Switch, it's plus and minus.
It's plus and minus on the Switch, which is very easy to see on the Joy-Cons. A little less so on the Pro controller, but there's still the indentations for plus and minus.
And on the PS4, it's options and share.
And then the center thing is just the touchpad. And it's interesting. Most games use the touchpad for their start button. Or
I love that, by the way.
oh
That
yeah,
is
that's so great.
infinitely more
Or it's
convenient.
like there's almost two different start buttons. Like Final Fantasy 15, 15? No, I know with Spider-Man, which I'm playing right now, and I think a bit with Final Fantasy 15. Like the touchpad is your in-game start menu. It's gonna bring up your map, your skills, your whatever. And then the options menu is like your system. Oh, those are different. I'll get to those in a second. Your system start menu with like your save game and exit to menu and stuff like that. You mentioned those white and black. Is that your Hyperkin Duke?
No, my Hyperkin Duke is see-through green.
Okay.
This is an OG Duke.
The OG Duke, the original Xbox that has actually, if you look at the bottom middle, that's where it's got its start and back buttons. Those white and black buttons are what would eventually become the upper bumpers up here. Those did not exist on the original Xbox controller. I love looking at the lineage of video game controllers, seeing
Now
how one evolved into
imagine
the next, evolved into the next.
I imagine like I'm trying to play well, for me personally, Overwatch, which by the way, Friday on DAM 314, the crew's riding again into PS4 Overwatch.
Yep.
Plug. But imagine trying to use these as shoulder buttons as you do in Overwatch, in Warzone, in things like that. You're
Yep.
playing along. You would have to snake your hands like this, and it's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love the Duke controller though.
Yeah, there's really something cool about it. I've really enjoyed I enjoyed going back and using it for my Mech Assault playthrough. And as much as a pain as it was, I might like maybe not for Let's Plays, but just like my two other games that aren't backwards compatible, just playing them straight up on it just kind of
Claw
feels nice.
confirmed.
Oh yeah, right. And like it's interesting when playing, say, Knights of the Old Republic, that it's like, oh yeah, press the black button. I'm like, crap, is that my right or left bumper? When you're playing it on a newer when you're playing it on a newer system.
You know what? Since we're busting out and we're showing bad design things, I'm gonna jump off headset really quick, but you can still hear me.
Okay. While he's grabbing that, actually, I'll wait till he comes back because we mentioned like the start and select buttons, but like the current generation of controllers, and starting a bit with the previous one too, has been adding more and more buttons. In the this glowing Xbox home button, and I do want to talk with Dave about that. The PS3 had an equivalent as well that would basically just go back to the main operating system. The Switch has that and has a dedicated share button and has its plus and minus buttons. I think the Switch and the PS4 have like the same number of buttons if you count the touchpad as a button. But like playing Animal Crossing, you have a use for plus, you have a use for minus, you have that home button to go back to the main menu of the Switch, and then you've got your share button your first month with a Switch, you will accidentally take so many screenshots. Whoops, did it again.
Speaking of bad controller design, and we will cover this more extensively, but does anyone recognize this controller?
That's your Ouya controller, right?
It is. It is the Ouya controller. The most interesting game console that I've run aground, and God bless Vladdy93 for actually backing the Ouya, and then gifting me the complete Ouya with its original packaging and everything.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. You know what? I will just show it off just because it's here. But here's your console.
Yeah.
Like.
And the whole thing with the Ouya was that it was one of those like cloud gaming ones, right?
It was it was a cloud service, so they never made physical games for the Ouya. But the good news was, unlike your Google Stadia, you downloaded the games that you wanted to play.
Oh, okay. So it was still one that would be downloaded to the console.
Yeah, you could stream them at the time, which is surprising because that was
a while ago. The infrastructure was definitely not there.
Probably
arguably
5-6 years ago.
Here,
yeah, 5-6 years ago, and it worked. It did work.
Yeah.
Like we streamed some of the smaller games. You were able to play Final Fantasy IX reliably on that.
Nice.
Like, we'll go into more detail of the Ouya in the future. Anti-Cos Prime. Speaking of bad design, I expect you guys to finally talk about Death Stranding, by the way. And unfortunately, it's 8/26.
Yeah, and I did want to show really quick, Dave. Have I mentioned to you what my first console was?
You have, but for the people out there,
for my most like anything relatively recent, my first was Xbox, and I was a PC gamer before that. But when I was young, my dad had an Intellivision, specifically an Intellivision 2. But I did at one point manage to get an original Intellivision. Dave, this is the controller for the Intellivision with the spinning control wheel. It's a 16 directional pad. It has buttons on the sides and has...
It's attached to the console.
It's attached to the console, has the buttons up here. The whole thing with the Intellivision was intelligent television. That's why this looks like a TV remote.
Be still my heart.
I did a series during May of Boater 1 year where I just did a whole bunch of Intellivision games, and like... you would slip in a little plastic sleeve into here depending on what game you were playing. Like
Demon Dragon looks like an old school car phone.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, if you're playing Frogger, that would slip in here to say, oh, well, this 2 is now your up button for jumping forward, and that's jumping left, and so forth. Or, oh, no, we're playing B-17 Bomber, and this is going to open your bomb bay doors. This is going to switch to that view. That's going to do that.
And
just
by the
absolutely awful. Like, I can't even get nostalgic about it. The few hours that I played with it just to get some recording done, terrible. Terrible. Some things are fine being left in the dustbin of the past.
And by the way, Boater and I definitely will, for Nerd Glasses future broadcasts, do some episodes just based upon old tech, future tech, things like that. Definitely make your voice heard on future episodes or things you would like to hear us talk about, because as good as Boater and I are at taking of Seinfelding episodes out, we would love to hear your input as well, to hear if you want to hear us do breakdowns on things you may not heard about. I remember that a couple of episodes ago, more like rigor mortis, asked like, "Hey, can you guys break down why this console or why that
Yep.
console, things like that?" And it was so much fun to do.
Yeah,
So
and as you
definitely
saw
keep that in
earlier,
mind, folks.
she's still in the market for such, and asked about Insane Games availability for shipping and stuff like that, and we'll be able to keep everyone updated as soon as we know more. Um, so it's we try to give useful information here, but I don't see how talking about this would be useful, but it sure would be fun. So we're definitely gonna have a, a go at some of these old consoles at some point and give them all kind of their due. Like we talked for half an hour about Animal Crossing today. Maybe we'll cover something a few decades older than that next week. Not quite sure. But yeah, what do you want to hear us talk about? And what niche gaming knowledge do you have about an older console? Do you have hands-on experience with an Atari Jaguar? We want to hear from you.
First of all, sorry for you, but
Yeah, I mean, we share your pain with us. It's called therapy, and we want to broadcast it.
but Boater, can I tell you an Atari Jaguar story?
Yes.
Just so the
That
Atari
then we
Jaguar
gotta
folks, by the way, who don't know, um, I want you to play Polyboss.
Polybius. Um, the new album by Eyeshadow 26 FM that isn't even out yet. I don't.
um, the Atari Jaguar was a console that was shipped with a lot of problems. Parts inside the console would fail. Um, and so my local hardware store, where young fat kid Dave grew up, um, just had a back wall of broken electronics that they would purchase from people for $1 or
Yeah.
two. And so three of my friends and I gathered up all of our allowances, and we bought like 6 Atari Jaguars, and we Frankensteined it together into one fully functioning Atari Jaguar. It was the best. And by
Wow.
that I mean we had exactly 2 games. I cannot remember what the 2 of them were, but we had so much fun putting that thing together and getting it to work. Um,
Dave, at some point, I'm gonna want to sit down and talk about the Philips CDI.
and we have one of those at the store.
Do you have Tetris for it?
We don't have any games for that. That's the most expensive part of that.
We got one in at a store that I used to work at, and it had, one of the CDI Zelda games. It had Tetris, which the soundtrack for CDI Tetris is sublime. Oh my gosh. There was some fantastic things with that console. So yeah, we keep going over time. We want to talk about crappy old systems, and if you have a personal experience with them, I want to hear it. In the meantime, everybody, that has been the Nerd Glasses podcast for today. If you've enjoyed this, please let us know. Make sure to give us a follow up here. Send a subscription our way if you want some of those sweet, sweet Mike and Dave faces. Um, and again, just follow us and make sure that you're checking out all the wonderful program that we have here at Insane Games TV. Coming up next will be the Citadel, where I will again be playing Dragon Age 2. And
Nice.
so what's going to happen is that we're going to say goodbye. The stream is going to go offline while I fix a couple little things really quick. And hopefully within about 60 seconds, we are back up with a 10-minute countdown to the Citadel, where I will be playing until probably at least 11 o'clock, but it depends on what we're doing. Last time we played Dragon Age, we literally went until 1 o'clock in the morning because one more quest. So we'll see how that goes today.
Shout out to Saturdays and Sundays, Shoot and Loot, the newest addition to the Insane Games TV lineup. Welcome, Flip Juice, to the family. Well, back to the broadcasting family, I should say. Definitely make sure to check out twitch.tv/Boaterbug and twitch.tv/DAM314. Our St. Jude's campaigns are running up until the stroke of midnight at the end of this month. So save up that cup of coffee this week and give it to St. Jude's. It can save a life.
Mm-hmm. In the meantime, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I have been Boater.
I've been Dave Man.
And we'll see you later. Bye, everybody!